1,202 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there. Fort Bliss, Fort Bliss, El Paso, Texas, the Siamese sister city of Juarez, Mexico. It's connected, just separated by a fence, right? So, yeah, there's the border, but it is right there on the border. You can walk over. There's many ports of entry, bridges that you can just walk over. We did it many times while we were there. So I'm going to check if I'm live. It looks like I'm live. Awesome. Okay, so we are putting a lot of information together, and we last night I talked about the walkaway narrative being totally debunked, and of course by us too, but not just by us. And I gave 6 other examples, and these examples were people that had clearance, security clearance, and had a position that absolutely gave them credibility in their assessment of the situation, like Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. And his actions absolutely were not the actions of a general that would have a narrative um, be a reality that Richard walked away. Okay, so they were spewing a false reality, and that really is concerning and criminal. And do we know for sure that they were spewing a false reality? Yes, because of the July 9th, 2020 exoneration of Richard. They never told us that, even though it was in the paperwork all the time. And they act on your ignorance. They act on, they hope they just laugh at you behind your back, and which is so criminal because they work for us. We're the ones that pay the bills, right? And and then they laugh. They take advantage of the children. They put a stumbling block in front of the children. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you don't know the legal system, or if you don't know how, um, if you're very emotional, and you're reading through a whole bunch of stuff, but you because of your emotions, you're not taking everything in the proper way or whatever. That's why we hire people to be obligated to care for our soldiers, our volunteer sons and daughters. That's why we have the El Paso Police Department, right? That nobody came up to let us know what was going on. And um, it's to put two and two together. It's really is criminal, and to have the information that Belen Rocha, we're getting the information, and I hope that Belen can straighten this out. She can write a post or whatever. Um, but the information we're getting in is that she was the one that called the 911, and on the 25th of January, the day, the late night, the early morning of the 26th, because it was midnight, plus a few minutes, so it was into the 26th of January 2020, for the DUI, right? And that, we're getting the information in that possibly looks like it, that she met with, uh, I think his name is Jesus Melenas. I hope I'm saying that right. He's the canine cop that showed up for the 911 call, right? For a fight call, which is weird. But, and that, she pointed out Richard's vehicle. That's the information. Um, why didn't, why, I'm concerned about Agent Veltri. Okay. She is I'm, and I have every right to be concerned about Agent Veltri. And I'll tell you why I'm concerned about her. She is out of Quantico. I'll give you a little background about her. She's out of Quantico, and she is supposed to be this amazing forensic expert, right? Yet she has failed to even go to Fort Bliss. She has failed. Forensics, when you're an expert in forensics and you know that uh, we have a botched case, we know we have a botched case because we have a dirty agent. We have a dirty agent. Now we have Veltri. I'm just wondering if the powers that be gave us another dirty agent. I'm just wondering. Because she's supposed to be this great forensic expert. And even I know that in order to do a forensics analysis on this case, you need to go to the crime scene, right? You need to re-interview Danae Katzen. You need to re-interview Belen Rocha. You need to re-interview Dallas Hart. You need to look at his vehicle, right? The vehicle, match the pictures up, and you need to uh, look at him and, why is his picture on Richard's picture at the Interpol? Uh, you know, if you're a forensic expert, you need to visit the place where the crime happened, right? And she has not done that yet. Then also, our key witness has been scrubbed from our case, and we were in a phone call with her and asked her about that and notified her about that and others, her boss and everything like that. And she has yet, this is months, she has yet to interview the key witness, right? And so I'm just wondering, I'm worried because we're getting all of this institutional support, and I wonder if they know that she is not doing her job. Because months ago we were promised a summary of our son's case, right? We don't have that. We don't have that because we have a dirty agent. We have the code red, the testimony of Nadal Baim, the testimony of Delirious Montanez. We have the testimony of Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. We have the testimony and the letter of the DES, the Director of Emergency Services, and the Chief of Security on Fort Bliss, Thomas Kane, who compared Richard's case to Vanessa Guillen's case. That's not me, that was him, because of the dismembering aspect of this case, and alluding that Richard was good food for the wildlife, for coyotes. This is despicable. This is, and where is the summary update about Dallas Hart being the platoon leader for Richard? Where is that? And all of the lack of, withholding crucial information, and, the tampering with Richard's file by Tavita Nusa, and, just having this botched case with a dirty agent, Marlon Soto, being in charge of it. And now we have someone that, for, gosh, it's been months, has not even visited when when they had told us with her boss that she would be coming to El Paso. Why hasn't she? This is irregularities. This is circumstantial evidence. And I would even say there is hard evidence here that she's a dirty agent. And, are they just giving us dirty agents? This is because, everybody else is waiting. Everybody else that's giving us a helping hand, that's doing their job because of you, because of the support that we're getting, even under huge censorship. Um, it's still We're still getting amazing support and sharings, and so it is because of you that's driving all of these people to do their duty, because then they have protection. You can be a general under illegal orders, but if you do not have the support of the people around you, you can't really stand up to those illegal orders. And another thing with Veltri is, I just don't trust her in how she is upholding the law. Okay, I don't think that she has showed and demonstrated the will and the want to uphold the law. And so, I just think that, well, I'm going to tell you this week we are going to make a huge complaint against Veltri as a dirty agent, because we have enough months and months and months. She's slowed down. She's obstructed justice in our son's case by not even doing her duty, by going and looking at the crime scene, going to El Paso and speaking and re-interviewing all of the suspects and the witnesses and the unit. She has not done that in person. And I will also say how she has conducted herself with, and this is third party. Now I'm going to talk third party because we were informed by the soldier that has requested the congressional inquiry. He wasn't too happy with Veltri, like she's slowing things down, right? So we have this congressional moving, and I don't know if their plan is to, kick the can so much so that it just gets lost, right? And Congress never gets a hold of this congressional inquiry. And with Veltri there, as part of the way to move forward, of course, we have Veronica Escobar and we have Senator Cruz. You know, but with Veltri holding a crucial part of this whole thing, and seemingly doing her best to thwart it, sabotage is the right word, sabotage the request for the congressional inquiry, and might even sabotage the congressional inquiry itself, because she hasn't done her job as a forensics expert, and she has the lead in our son's case. She has contacted us recently to assure us that our son's case is an open case, and so that is good news. But if it's an open case, then she's derelict, and she's so derelict. And we have so many irregularities that she's not upholding her duty or the law, that I think she's a dirty agent. You know, she's working for somebody else. She's not working for the Vanessa Guillen First Absent Soldier. Okay, that's clear. She's not working for the Vanessa Guillen First Absent Soldier. So we'll see. We're going to put in a major complaint this week about her, and so that all the people around that are helping, that do want answers to this, that are fighting for our son's justice, they will be notified that, from our point of view, she, uh, well, from our point of view, she's a dirty agent. She's not any better. Matter of fact, she might even be worse than Soto, than Marlon Soto. I think I'd rather have Marlon Soto back, um, and than Veltri, because uh, and I wouldn't want to have. I need to take that back. I don't want the dirty agents at all. I want them held accountable, right? I want them held accountable. So, but I will say this, that Soto, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything good about him because he's so rotten to the core. Maybe he had some charisma, maybe that's why I'm like thinking, oh wow, um, at least he had some empathy or something like this. But he's so rotten to the core, he was acting really good. He was acting really good, like Danae Katzen. They all act really good. And I remember talking to Lydia Rocha, who's Belin's mother, oh, I don't know anything. They all have this acting. It's all a show. It's all a show because Eddie Rocha and Lydia Rocha absolutely know what happened to Richard, and they absolutely knew Richard. And, there's not a doubt in my mind that she was lying to me. Not a doubt in my mind, obstructing justice. And, you know, uh, sabotaging the search for our son. And, it makes me wonder, with the red flags go up, what Richard was reporting that would interfere with her life and Eddie's life and Belin's life, with these sex videos, um, that were clearly, I mean, we know about the Harts. We know that they like child pornography. We know that Dallas Hart was running home to his mother's to look for the child pornography. Um, and we know that they've had a life of, this sex cult, this child predators, child sexual assault on uh, even Lalani's friend's child had to suffer sexual assault by multiple members of the Hart family in her master bedroom. Um, all alleged, not by me. This is not by me. This is by Lalani Hart. This is alleged by Lalani Hart in a notarized criminal complaint affidavit that, she confessed to all of this right when Richard was missing. And that's uh, a whole nother topic, a facet of this investigation, is when Richard went missing. And so she complained in this uh, notarized criminal uh, that was accepted by the CID, that was accepted by the FBI. So they have connections, because not everything you submit is accepted by the FBI and gets an FBI case number. And we have the case number. So, which means she was playing fast and loose with the case numbers. Okay? She was playing fast and loose with the case numbers. She wanted that to get out. I think it was maybe some kind of way to protect herself. I don't know. Because if she was on the up and up, she would come out and tell us what she knows about Richard, right? But she's a convicted criminal, and she's not used to doing any good in the community, not used to doing any good at all, but just causing chaos and chaos and chaos, and thinking that she's covered by the law because she knows she has a lover in the CID and with connections with the FBI and a defense attorney that has connections too, that I believe is a dirty attorney. It's like we have a dirty journalist and a dirty defense attorney and a dirty general and another dirty general and another dirty general and another dirty general and a dirty command sergeant major, all for a cushy VA job, I think. Um, because he was shaking. He was shaking. All right. And Yoshida was shaking. Captain Yoshida was shaking. And they were all shaking. They were all shaking. And then you have the SJA PP McGee, who, withheld information from us and led us to believe that Richard had a record when he did not have a record. And, you know, um, to not reveal that this was retaliatory. All of the punishments that he had to endure was retaliatory for his whistleblowing, withheld the whistleblowing from us, has not worked to get the CPS complaints to us, um, told us that Richard could have got 6 years in prison if he went, possibly 6 years in prison if he goes court martial, that the underage drinking was punitive that Richard had, which he already was exonerated July 9th before he even went missing. And so this SJA that has, shares a hip, they're connected at the hip, to Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, and then the PAO spewing this information to the media so that the media would call Richard a drunk driver, instead of having Richard six and saying, look, he was exonerated. But, I was just watching Tucker, and I forget what his name is. Did I put it down here? Yes. Martin Shrekley. I hope I'm saying that right, but he was um, accused of, I don't know, like a nothing thing. It had nothing to do even with this pharmaceutical drug that he had raised the price on to keep it in the market, because the pharmaceutical companies didn't even want to make this drug because it wasn't really being used so much. Only a very, very few people use the drug. Anyway, I don't even know the name of it. It was on this. You can look. It's on the new X Tucker. It's a fascinating interview, and but he talks about the legal system, the justice system, and that they just claim that you're guilty. They just claim that you're guilty. Um, Oh, I hope they do that with with Dallas Hart and with Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe and with so many others that we have mounting and mounting evidence on that they are very guilty of major crimes. Um, and Major General Clem Coward, of course, let's not forget him. He's a major player in all of this because of his participation, and probably major participation with the Code Red. Um, so yesterday, I kept the name of yesterday's live where we're debunking the narrative, because absolutely those 6 testimonies, and then to add to that 2 more from the paranormal side, and then 2 more from the general side. So that gives you 10 testimonies, boom, right off the top of our head. That, what takes the time is writing it out and then thank God we have some help with the grammar and, thesaurus work, with technology that can put this together so we can make things more readable for the public, what we're trying to say, what we're trying to get out there. With not as much emotion, because some of the stuff we write is very emotional. We, dirty agent, dirty general. And that's being kind. So I know, I know. It's when you think about what they did to Richard, and I haven't shared everything that I've been told about what they did to Richard. But today, one of the weapons, and they use tools and they use weapons. They even use a machine. Um, so this is what we're being told. But one of the weapons I did put up on Facebook, and it is a knife, a folding knife with a black handle, a serrated edge, um, little more than, well, I don't want to give the exact measurement, but um, yeah, that is an example. I put out a picture of an example of um, this weapon, and the initial, I guess it's the initial. Um, so when you think about what they did to him, and you hear Thomas Kane saying that, um, comparing in his letter, comparing Richard to Vanessa Guillen. And when you've read through Vanessa Guillen's case as many times as I have, and I still need to even read more about it, it's so shocking. It's so heartbreaking because you know that it's so evil, and that we have this trend in this country to be so evil because they get away with it. And in Richard's case, millions of dollars have been spent to get away with this, right? To get away with stealing from the public with this weapon smuggling, with this tactical move storage units, and then to get away with the child sexual trafficking, to get away with the child predator, sexual predators, and making the porn, and to get away with the narcotics, which, because of Richard, these arrests that we have been informed that happened because of him. One of them had to do with the narcotics, okay, with narcotics trafficking, and the other with several people, uh, even a gunsmith, with weapon smuggling. So it was very big with weapon smuggling. And then, of course, we know through Ann Ogle that there's that she's a dirty CYS administrator, right? She's a dirty CYS administrator. Why can I say that? Because 85,000 unaccounted for minors happened, and we are hearing many, many stories, even through uh, witnesses of all these problems happening over at the emergency intake center, and things that were happening in El Paso and on Fort Bliss, because and of course emergency intake center is on Fort Bliss, but on the outside of the emergency intake center, because they had a child care provider problem. They did not have enough child care providers, and so they loosened the regulations and the oversight so much that you had then children in danger, and in a bad situation. And not only that, but we're hearing that in this group of people, that not only do they mistreat children, but they mistreat their elders. Okay, and I understand. I have 9 grandchildren now, and I just, my dad, rest in peace, was the caretaker for my dad, with my husband, with my mother. Um, a couple other people helping in the family and all of that, but we were the major ones. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Hardest thing. Um, and of course, what made it harder is that the whole COVID mandate thing during that time. It made it very, very difficult because, of getting people in that would want to help us. And of course, you don't want to, I would never keep my dad from anybody. My dad was such a personable person, and he wanted to see his grandkids, and he wanted to, so we just turned our house into a care center for him so that he could have everyone that he loves come and visit him and be there for him. And it was a very difficult time for us, but we would not have it any other way. Not any other way. You have to do what you have to do, right? And get down on your knees and pray for strength. So, and this is all during Richard too. So we were dealing on two fronts there. Um, Absolutely. And, it was crazy, really, really crazy. And it's crazy now still. Very crazy. Because during that time also we were getting the retaliation from this insane group of sex cult people. And they're absolutely sex cult, okay? Because I got the messages, right? And that's like the only thing on their mind. They are totally uh, that's all they think about is sex cult stuff. And if they think that way, then of course they're predators with children. And we're hearing that they were also derelict in their duty to their loved ones that are older in a very severe way. So this is, yeah, 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue. A lot of information has come out of those those locations, including, well, I'll keep that to myself right now, but a lot of information. And, so I have to take a breath. I have to take a breath because these people have no, they're so inhumane, inhumane. Um, but I did want to put out the information about the knife because we've had it for quite a while. This knife, but we wanted to make sure that it would repeat, 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 and other people would, corroborate before we put it out there, so that maybe Dirty Agent Veltri can do her forensics, right? Do her forensics. Um, yeah, and give us answers for the autopsy reports, and contact Dr. Raskin Ortez, and figure things out what happened, and give us a report on that. Maybe that's in her report, right? Maybe that, I mean, I don't know how long it takes because, you know, I don't think she understands. The longer it goes, the more stones come up, right? The more stones of truth come up, rise up from the ground, and the stars in their course fought against Sisera. The longer she waits, she's going to have to add more and more. And I'll tell her right now from my own experience, this case moves so fast. I mean, look at here. Uh, it moves so fast. She's going to write that report and it will already be obsolete the next day. Okay? Because this July 9th, 2020 date, and when you go and look at the report more seriously, and then it's like, oh my gosh, are these people related to the same group? I mean, do they have people in the El Paso Police Department now? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Because they have people in the DES, Thomas Kane. They have people in the CYS. They have people in the CPS. They have people at the CBP. Um, they have people in Park University, they have people in the JAG, they have people in the VA, they have people in the CID, they have people in the chain of command, being at even 30-second AdCom, and so uh, this is all being exposed, that this is a criminal enterprise, and it includes um, planes. Planes. Of course, Dallas Hart was learning how to fly a plane. That's because they have connections with planes and even a helicopter. Even a helicopter. And of course, you got a dirty journalist like Angela Kercherga, who we put in a complaint about. And I think we need to put in more complaints about, because what she did is so dirty, absolutely dirty, and dirty for Mexico too. Okay, I want to tell you that, because if she's not stopping the crime here, and for some reason, if she's involved in any of this smuggling, or um, because somehow she has skin in the game. Somehow, maybe she knows someone. All I know is she has some skin in the game because of our communication with her. Her actions are absolute criminal. And if she is protecting those that want to do weapon smuggling, our weapons, right, that we taxpayers pay for, that they take that and they smuggle them and pocket the money, you know, weapon smuggling, and those weapons, they go to Mexico for the most part. Okay, now with these planes involved, who knows where they go also, and who knows if it involves 85,000 unaccounted for minors, right? um, you know and does it include some kind of porn video library, and does it include the narcotics trafficking? So if it goes back and forth, you let us bring in some narcotics, and we'll give you some porn, or we'll give you some children, humans, we'll give you some weapons. So it's a very, and then this is tied to another case, right? In order to get legalized theft, which is through taxation. They have a plan and they want taxpayers to pay for their plan. And, I can talk hours about that one because we are so overtaxed. Um, I can put my tinfoil hat on and give you some really good information about how we're being overtaxed for what? For what? We're not getting. It's all like a money laundering, legalized theft. That's what I call it, legalized theft. So, and I guess it is this skepticism that holds us, uh, that would question things, but it's also the love for our son. Um, that's the biggest one, the promises that we have made him. But the skepticism to, because I know so many parents love their children and they get in this situation and they'll be misled. Their whole case will be sabotaged, and and they don't understand that maybe there's a bigger picture underneath, and we didn't at all, but we were skeptics, and something was very stinky. Something was very, very stinky. And so you know so things are being exposed because of just sticking with it, because also we're able to, we have the opportunity to do that. And so we can't let the other parents down, because they're probably all like, yeah, something stinky, but we had to go back to work. We have younger children we have to care for. We have other things, We don't have the money to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on attorneys, and then also the new technology that is coming out to help you write the letters and everything is take some time to get used to. And I already had some knowledge in that because of McGuffey's online tutor. And so yeah, here we are. Here we are over 3 years later, and we have Leilani Hart figured out that she's a criminal, uh, a convicted criminal, protecting, uh, child pornography, and her son apparently into child pornography, and her husband into uh, child predator and sexual assault of children, and also buying weapons that are not registered. Um, she mentions that too, and we have that problem in El Paso because we have the colonel of the Bulldogs stating that there were all these unregistered weapons, and some of those unregistered weapons were used to kill people. So there's some kind of gun problem going on here. That's absolutely evident everywhere. And so I'm just wondering, where is Dirty Agent Veltri, right? There's so much. It's so dynamic. This case is so dynamic. Where is she? You know? So we've had enough, and then this report from the soldier, the active duty Fort Bliss soldier, we see him suffering enough. Um, you know, with trying to go to the JAG and being rejected and having to live in the barracks, and see a 14-year-old girl getting prostituted out night in, and night after night after night. And then girls being brought in during the COVID lockdown with special passes by none other than the DES himself, Thomas Kane. um, I think this soldier is dealing with enough. And then, of course, have it, announcing that he's a witness in our son's case. That is huge. And so, he doesn't need to deal with delay tactics and a do nothing special agent who's not special at all. It seems like a dirty agent, Veltri. So, yeah, and if you would like to write a letter of complaint, that would be really good, because El Paso, especially if you live there, if you live on Fort Bliss, that's your community. That's your community. And you have a right, because you're paying those high taxes there, and you're supporting the likes of Veltri and Dirty Agent Marlon Soto. And if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, if they're lying to the law enforcement agents about a code red murder in your area, wow, that makes you unsafe, and supporting the continuation of all the crimes, right? The continuation of all the crimes. That's what they're doing. So, yeah, whew, I'm going to take some questions now. Hello, Mitzi, thank you so much for coming on. Danielle, hello, good evening. You knew when they were shaking uncontrollably that something was definitely wrong. That's obvious. Naturally, their consciousness was taking a toll. Absolutely. And not enough, though. Not enough to take a stand. And when you're a command sergeant major and when you're a general, you need to take a stand. That's why you wear that beautiful uniform with those beautiful stars and stripes. Is you need to have your soldiers back. You need to, that's That's your oath. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a 3-star general or a 2-star general or a command sergeant major, and not perpetuate crimes, and be proud. Because, the one time that he didn't shake, it, and I knew, was when he was telling us that these young girls were being brought in to party during the COVID lockdown. And, we brought them in, he said. We brought them in. Who's we? Major General Clem Coward. Major General, because I want to make it clear that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe was not there yet. He didn't get there until we got there. Okay? He might have arrived a little bit, but he had to go into quarantine or something. And yeah, so he was coming from Wiesbaden, Germany. They brought him in. They got rid of White, and they got rid of Clem Coward. They got rid of the general structure there. They got rid of Lieutenant Colonel um, Michael Roddick. They did not even let us meet Pollen. They didn't demand it. They didn't let us meet the first sergeant Ruggiero. They didn't um let us meet them. They didn't bring in the lieutenant colonel. What is her name? Erica. Erica. Oh, Johnson. I think that. Uh, it'll come. And they didn't even come. See, I have a hard time remembering her name because they hid them. Even Captain Yoshida. They brought in other people from 343, and they kept us away from Richard's unit. And so that was stinky. That was totally, I mean, what do you call that? This was a cover up from head to toe. And then to allow Marlon Soto to cover up, um, and for the SJA Colonel P.P. McGee um, to do what he did legally. He needs to be barred he needs his bar license taken away. I mean, really, that's how serious this is. And I'm not a shoot from the hip type of person. I mean, we're here at 3 years. And this, but reading through what they did to Richard, reading through the retaliation attempt with the DUI that they could not keep because it was so, uh, was, they had no proof. This is something that was really, I bet you the judge was like, what? Um, is, going through he was driving through the parking lot at a high rate of speed, but he had a cup on the top of the car. You can't go a high rate of speed with a cup on top of your car. Okay? It just um so really ridiculous stuff like that. And there was no proof. And so they had nothing. He has a clean record, and they had no choice but to exonerate him. That happened on July 7th, 2020, and then it got registered on July 9th of 2020. And so the whole foundation fell from their feet of the permanent GOMAR, the Chapter 14, the Field Grade Article 15, and now you know why they scrubbed it from his file and promoted him twice. Um, so it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that they're just covering, and now they're having to cover legally because they've committed so many crimes. And the longer this goes, the more crimes they commit. But I wanted to put out, we know a lot about this knife. Um, and I do want to say that the information that we're getting, the knife did not belong to Dallas Hart. Okay? It did not belong to Dallas Hart. That's what we're being told. Now, maybe it does. I don't know, but we're being told it was a borrowed knife. Okay, it was a borrowed knife. So this is really, uh, you know, groundbreaking information. And where is Veltri? Right? Where is Veltri? So I think, we're going to have to write the report and put it up because she hasn't even visited the crime scene. So, and she hasn't even talked to the key witness yet. She hasn't even bothered to talk to the key witness who, and this is the claim of bodily harm done to Richard. Um, Now, if that doesn't get you smoking mad because she's putting everyone like Angela Kachurga, everyone at Fort Bliss, everyone in the El Paso area and the outskirts and into Mexico in danger because she's increasing crime by not doing her job. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming on. And there's so much to say. I could go on and on. But we're going to write it down. We're going to keep putting it up and keep sharing it. Please share. It is so crucial that we get your support in order to drive them to do their duty for Veronica Escobar, for the Department of Justice, for the DA there. I guess you would include him in the for Park University. I mean, Park University is dirty university, and they have investments that they had to protect rather than protecting their students. So yeah, and UTIP same way, um, which is the letter we got is very interesting, and yet they're giving us institutional support. You see all of these agencies, um, they might not want to because it might be damaging, but they have to give institutional support. And the more uh, support that we get from the public, the more institutional support that we get. And there are some really good people giving us very classy people that know how to answer letters and everything. I have to say, like one of them, I need a frame. It's so classy. So thank you so much, everyone, for um, for sharing and coming on, and continue to share because it's super super important. Okay, thank you. God bless you.